Good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. And I've just come straight from having my tea, so that's an evening meal. And I'm just busy setting things up for the stream. But rather than set things up for the stream and then start streaming, I figured it probably would be a good idea to actually sort of say hello and then carry on. And if Incredible Wolf is watching, that's not a problem. Good evening. Thank you for the message, and it's not a problem at all. And tonight's episode, tonight's stream could be a bit fun on account of the fact it's late start, but as part of the meal tonight, I've been having some sparkling wine. And I can feel the effects of said sparkling wine, which is quite unusual, because whilst I don't normally Your Kickstart is almost done. You've been doing a Kickstarter. Wow. I thought you'd put that message in chat a while ago and had gone away. Okay, well, if you drop a link to the Kickstarter when you do it, or drop a message, we'll have a look. I may well just... sound is weird. Doesn't look too bad. What's weird about it? It doesn't. I'm sort of looking at all the output stuff. It doesn't look like I'm overdriving. Doesn't look like I'm clipping. I may have to listen back to the audio afterwards. My voice. Okay. Let's restart the microphone, the digital to analog converter. Excuse me a minute, the voice will go offline. Connect. Or did it? Yes, it did. My voice is reconnected. I've restarted the digital to analog converter. The other possibility is that my voice sounds a little bit odd because I'm a little bit slurred. Can't see anything wrong from the meters. How does it sound, Wolfie? Other than slightly slurred, because I've been drinking some alcohol, some wine, which I normally have a cup. I can normally have 2 or 3 pints of beer, but a glass of sparkling wine seems to have affected me. Don't think I can actually listen to a playback. Let's just have a quick look. No, until I close the stream down, I can't listen to. Okay. Have a good evening, Wolfie, and somebody just followed. Dashboard. Sykes Wolf, thank you very much for the follow. That's very kind of you. Oh, hopefully you can understand me, and my voice isn't really bad. Unfortunately, to actually listen to, I suppose actually what I can do is I can listen to my own stream. Let me just... Okay, thanks very much, Sykes Wolf. Wolfie, Incredible Wolfie mentioned that my voice was not sounding normal. And so hopefully... Okay. Right, well, I shall get on with some of this. I need to change my glasses though, because I'm going to do some chainmail. And don't forget to drop me the link, Incredible Wolfie. You never know, I might just... I know you're doing it for a laugh, but a joke, but I might just contribute to the Kickstarter just for the laugh. So you better deliver. So yes, I need to change glasses. The reason I need to change glasses is because I'm going to work with these rings. These little tiny rings. And just to try and give you some idea of scale, this is a pair of needle nose pliers. This is a scalpel. This is my finger. And he says, trying to pick up a ring. These are tiny. And if I get a ruler, Micromaille, indeed, 3.2mm rings. There's a ruler, and as you can see, they are tiny. If I do it on the inch scale, if you're more familiar with inches, they are small. What would these be? I don't actually know off the top of my head what the equivalent is. They are, what was it described them of 0.64mm wire diameter. I don't actually know. That's probably going to be... Don't actually know. I shall take your word for it. 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's probably a little bit. Yeah, you're about right. 1/8 of an inch. So you're probably got a good guess with that 22 gauge. I don't actually know off the top of my head. I usually do, but this is with the larger rings. But the Micromaille, I don't really. I haven't really sort of taken that much notice. And of course, the problem you've got is American wire gauge or standard wire gauge. They are slightly different, of course. But yeah, so this I do know that this bracelet here has got over 500 rings in it. This one, when it's finished, will have over 500 rings in it. You do chainmail as well? Oh, well done. What? Anything in particular? In terms of particular weaves, or do you just do whatever comes to your fancy, and any particular metals? That is not the right end. That's the right end. Mixed? Okay. Yeah, I kind of just do whatever strikes my fancy at the time. Steel, brass, bronze, silver, and some EPDM. Okay. I tend to work in aluminium just because it's easier. This is bright aluminium as opposed to anodized aluminium. A lot of what I do is anodized. That's stainless steel. So that was actually the first time I'd worked in stainless steel, and I actually find it, daft as it sounds, I know a lot of people say it's a harder metal. I find it easier to work than aluminium. I've never tried brass or bronze. Silver, I've got some sterling silver here, although I don't sell any of the sterling silver stuff. And EPDM, yes, I've got some somewhere I've used EPDM as well. And I think candy cane is probably one of my favourite weaves. But I a little while ago just decided I kind of like the micro stuff. I like it, but boy does it take a lot of work. Used titanium. I've done some titanium, yes, as well. In fact, all the stuff or most of the stuff I've done is actually on the Etsy shop. That's at the bottom right. I've got some titanium, and so I've done some titanium work. That I find quite difficult to work, titanium. And I've just got, where is it now? Over here. Sorry, I'm just slightly off screen, just picking up some. Oh, I found some more rings that I didn't know I had. I keep forgetting. Niobium, yes, niobium. I've got some niobium to play with. I actually got the bright aluminium to do prototyping, the same as you mentioned there, because it seemed like a good one to do. But I actually, I may put it in the shop as well. It's a different look to the bright stuff. Niobium is one I want to have a play with, because that's kind of like that's titanium, as you know, and the niobium kind of looks like a shiny version of titanium. So, I've got some to have a play with and just see what I like. Yeah, I've never worked with it yet. This is the first two. This is the first two packs I've got of niobium rings, and it was literally to play with and just to see how it is to work with and what the colours look like in terms of and this is supposed to be purple. To me, it looks like a purple blue, whereas the blue is a nice sort of consistent colour. So I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it yet in terms of a weave. I'll probably pick something fairly common, I think. Maybe I was about to say something like a Byzantine or a box, perhaps just something fairly popular, and just see how it works. Actually, it's too costly. I don't know. I mean, that's the only two boxes. That's the only two packs I've got. So yes, it actually didn't. I'm in the UK, so has never heard of it, to be honest. Sykes Wolf. What is that? I've sort of. I want to play about with different metals, to be honest, just to see what they're like, and I've had some sort of fun playing about with and incorporating crystals as well. So I've got some Swarovski crystal, which I've integrated into a bracelet, and that looks absolutely stunning when it's in. The only problem with Micromaille is picking up the rings. They are a pain in the neck because they are so tiny you can't actually pick the things up with or very easily with the pliers, even these needle nose pliers. 2 mirrored half. Okay, I'll take a look at it. Sorry, if you want to drop a link, just bear with me. You're not allowed to, unless I permit you first. That's what I can. I should have a tab on here somewhere which will complete it. There you go. Sorry about that. 2 half Persian 3-in-1s. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Thank you very much. First, I'll do it now. Let's have a look. Well, that looks nice. I've not seen that one on that site before. That is one that would catch my attention to have a look at. So effectively, you say that's 2 half Persians with a full Persian 6-in-1. That looks nice. I'm not sure if I will have enough rings to complete one like that, but that's a new weave to me. I've not seen that one before, so thank you very much. Yeah, well, once you've got the star, 18 gauge quarter. I don't actually know what these are because they off the top they look like 18 gauge quarter inch, but they're in millimeters. This particular shop that I buy them from, yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch. Actually, that's outside diameter, so it's 3/16. Looks like it. I'll have to have a go at that one though. Perhaps I do have some 18. I think that's some 18 gauge quarter. I've certainly got some 1/4 inch around. I tend to sort of use get sort of a blue and silver is my prototyping colours because they always seem to go nice together. 6.4. No, these are 4.1. They're too small for that. Well, I don't know what the aspect ratio of these were. These Niobium are 4.1, 1.29. So what's that going to be? My 3.8, something like that, isn't it? AR 3.8. I'll have to see. But I've got some. I do have a fair number of other rings. The Niobium were just an experiment. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, the aspect ratio, I don't particularly have a pub. I tend to work in millimetres, just from the point of view of a lot of it is European, so they tend to work in millimetres. Oh, American wire gauge, okay. Thank you very much for that, for the link. What I usually end up doing is taking the imperial measurements, converting it to millimeters, and then doing the aspect ratio conversion there, because it's a lot easier to do that maths in millimeters than it is to do it in imperial. Don't know what's around at the moment. I'm just trying to think what I've got around in the box over there at that side. Now I'm looking at this thinking, oh yes, I know where I am. As you probably know, the 4-in-1 is one of the easiest weaves, but for some reason it was not last night's stream, but the stream before. I started doing this about a couple of weeks ago, and then I took a break while I did some airbrushing, and I came back to it, and for some reason, because I'm kind of half speed weaving this, for some reason I'd managed to weave a row without putting the additional closed rings on, and it took me an hour to work out what on earth I'd done, because without those additional closed rings, of course the add-on just didn't work, and I'm still puzzled as to how I did the final row of whoa, it would have been on a stream, and miss out the additional rings, and just doing the open rings, and not noticed I'd done it wrong. It's one of the weaves I really I enjoy doing the candy cane, just because of the complexity, and that one's actually the spiral candy cane. I actually enjoy the half and full Persian. Not full Persian. The 4-in-1 half Persian is the one I meant to say, not the 3-in-1. It's that's a weave I really enjoy doing. Now that I've worked out a method of getting it started, that is. Because I can now start a 4-in-1 or a 3-in-1 first time, and not spend ages trying to hold the rings in a particular position or whatever. Do you stream Sykes Wolf, or you just do chainmail as a hobby, or do you do it as a profession, as a job? Do you sell these things? Because there's a few people on Twitch that do chainmail, not too many. So it's always interesting to see somebody else. I've just put 2 rings on there for no apparent reason, because I keep forgetting. Come on off. There we go. I'm kind of doing a speed weaving technique and then do it wrong every time. It doesn't go much faster. Quister X, hello, good evening, welcome to the studio. Thank you very much. That's kind of you to say so. Although I must admit, this is a sort of a. I was about to say a relatively simple weave, except the fact that I seem to be, I seem to have made quite a mess of it over the past couple of streams. But excuse me a second. Yes, I love working in Micromaille, but it takes a lot of work. It's night for you, your friends. You're just across the channel from me. Then I'm in the UK. So I think we're about an hour apart, I think, aren't we, at the moment? So it's definitely night here as well. In fact, it's what, 20 to 9 at night, and tonight we shift the clocks in the UK, so it will go back an hour at 2 AM. I haven't really got a. I was just thinking, with at least one guy who does, or one person, excuse me, because actually no, Sykes Wolf, who does chainmail. I was just thinking if I've got any other examples around me. These were just two that the last two that I've done. This is another Micromaille piece, round mail. It's called. This is the same rings, 3.2 millimeters, and it's a challenging piece to do because of the size of the rings, but it's a nice piece. And this is one I love candy cane just from the point of view of how complex it looks. And this is made out of stainless steel. And he's about, I think, I don't know, Sykes Wolf, if you agree, but it's probably one of the heaviest metals to do bracelets and things with. It's a nice piece. Right, I'm just about run out of closed rings, so I'm going to have to close some in a minute, which is not the most interesting part of ring weaving. Come on, rings. That's the other problem with Micromaille rings. You can't keep hold of the things. At this size, well, I'm an old man, you see, so at this size I almost need a magnifying glass. Well, that's kind of you, but that's not, it wasn't you I was talking to. I have one of these digital assistants that talks to you. Occasionally she perks up and says things, sometimes the most amusing things in terms of responding to what I happen to have said at the time. Would be, yeah. Oh, that's fairly chunky wire, is that one, as you can see. Brass, yeah. The thing that puts me off with work, well, actually I don't know about brass. The thing that puts me off working with copper is the fact that it tarnishes so easily. A good idea to put a GIF of your other projects. Everything you see on the right hand side of the screen, Quister X, is a piece of, well, not all, it's not all chainmail, but every piece of jewellery that you see on the right hand side there is chainmail. That's been done on stream, and they are pieces that are actually in the shop, also available for sale. So that's actually one of the Swarovski crystal pieces there. So with a fairly simple weave, but when you incorporate the Swarovski crystal, it looks quite a spectacular piece. So not exactly GIFs, but they're most of them are JPEGs, Quister. But yeah, oh, that's a lovely piece. That one, like the dragon scale cuff. It's a nice wide band on that one, and there's about 15 hours of work in that piece. Well, having said which, these Micromaille has got a heck of a lot more, there's much work in it for something that looks a lot simpler. I think there's about, how long is this? It's I'm doing about half an inch an hour working on this stuff, so there's what, 11 hours in this at the moment. Animated GIF, okay. I'm not quite sure how to animate a GIF of them. I mean, that is just a running slideshow, so. Although yes, I can see one point where something like this is hard to illustrate on a photograph, isn't it? I mean, this I could almost, well, I'm sure I could tie an actual knot in it. It's so flexible. This is one of the things I love about most of the chainmail, is just how it feels. There's more than one time I just spend ages just playing with chainmail like this, running it through my fingers, just because of how it feels, and I am kind of really impressed by the flexibility of this particular piece. I mean, I know in larger rings it would just be as flexible, but there wouldn't be as many rings, it just wouldn't seem the same. And I guess this isn't very flexible, but it's still nice to play with. Oh dear. Right, so I need to close rings. Unfortunately, they're one of the more... Oh, it's okay. What you've got running on the right hand side is a slideshow of everything. Everything that you see on the right hand side has been done on a stream. So that yellow you just saw is Kumohimo braiding. There's chainmail in there. You will probably see some images of carving, because I do wood carving as well, and there will be some pyrography in there. So anything that looks like a brown picture is pyrography. There's some black and white scraper board, which is another art medium that we do, and there's some images that look like they're made out of wool, which is a rug, kind of a rug making technique that's done in miniature, and we do that. That's beadwork, so that's bead weaving, is that particular bracelet. So don't only jewellery actually is a relatively small part of the stream. Don't actually do it all that often. They're just things with when you're making jewellery. It takes one stream, for example, to do a bracelet like that. You see on screen there, which is probably full Persian Sykes Wolf. And but when you're carving, for example, carving probably takes 20-30 hours to do, so as does some of the other things. So there's more jewellery there than just about everything else, but they are all sort of images of things that have been done on the stream. And I kind of just alternate. I'll do certain things for a while, like the jewellery, and then I'll move on and maybe do pyrography. And in fact, I think I'm kind of thinking of doing pyrography next. When I finish this particular piece, I'll move on to doing something else. Last week I think we were doing, last week was airbrushing. That's something that's relatively new to the stream. I've been airbrushing for many years, but I've never done it on stream before. And last week we did some airbrushing. There's even glass engraving. So you may or may not recognise this, depending if you have that interest in the particular program it comes from. But this is a glass engraving, also done on stream. So recycling a coffee jar in that particular case, but here's another one that was done on a different theme. This was an underwater theme. I could do with something black behind this, but so you've got a seahorse, an angel, tropical type fish, and then a little bit of seaweed just on the back. Indeed, it is indeed a TARDIS. You are correct. I started off by thinking I will. I had a number. In fact, I got another one over to one side there. I just had a jar. I thought, I was actually intending to do images of London, and I think there's a couple of police boxes in London, So I was going to just draw a police box, and then I thought, you know what, it's square. And then I remembered Doctor Who, and of course I couldn't avoid it at that point. That's what it was, Quista. That's what it was intended to be at the time. You're trying to reduce the length of the chain, yeah. I need to make some. Tell you, I was about to say then. Sykes Wolf. Oh, Sykes Wolf. I don't particularly have a problem reducing the size of chains. Oh, that was clever. I managed to catch that ring. It's when I come to do things like, oops, one's out of place in something like this, and I'm trying to work out just where it's got to. This particular sterling silver bracelet, which I made for myself, there is a ring out of place somewhere around here, and it's not woven properly, but it's for me, so I've not been particularly bothered about it. But every so often I stare at this, and I stare at it for half an hour or so, trying to work out which ring it is. I know there's a ring out of place because, as you can see, the pattern doesn't quite, especially as you get to here at the end, the pattern's off. And it goes off somewhere around here. So there is a ring out of place somewhere in here, and it's probably around here, because this ring, as you might notice, is sitting off to one side. And somewhere around there's a ring out of place, and I have studied this bracelet for hours, and every time I think I've seen it, I'm not sure. It will get to me to one day where what I will do is dismantle it and restart and carry on and rebuild it. But at this moment in time, you know, that's the hardest thing, when I know there's a ring out and I cannot find it. You see it? You see the fact that it's out, yeah. Well, if you can point out which ring it is that's actually out of place, and then I can, and then work out how to correct it. I've spent that much time on it. It would be quicker to take it apart, but that's the bit I find is hard. Where if it was a customer one, I'd have taken it apart. But I don't sell sterling silver because in the UK, I can't. Well, I can, but they have to be hallmarked, and I can't afford to hallmark them, so I don't actually sell sterling silver. But I would have taken it apart or just built a new one. But yeah, taking the ends off, nice and easy, you know, reducing it backwards. But yeah, fixing something in the middle. I've had a few on this. Daft as it sounds, it's a simple weave. Is the 4-in-1, as I'm sure you know. The European 4-in-1, and I'm surprised at how many mistakes I've made. I mean, I usually find them because I love running this, as I've mentioned, I love running this through my hands, and you can feel one that's out of place. And I've had to do it a couple of times. This one isn't so bad, except the fact that trying to get in to one of these little tiny rings and you know, open it to be able to rethread it is it's an interesting time. I'll have to have a go at copper one of these days. The thing I don't like about copper is the fact it tarnishes, and when it tarnishes it goes green. I started off when I started making chainmail, I started off making them for Lady Zara, my wife. That's what started me doing chainmail in the first place. And one of the reasons why I sort of work with anodized aluminium, when the clasps, they are sterling silver clasps. I don't use silver plated. I don't use gold plated either. Because for Lady Zara, my wife, if she puts silver or gold plated on, within an hour the plating's come off. It's been dissolved on her skin, and she's just left with the underlying copper. And so I've always been wary of it, and I'm fairly confident if I make a copper bracelet for her, the same thing will happen. It'll just go green, which I'm not sure I like the idea of. But there again, of course, not everybody's the same as Lady Zara. But that's kind of one of the reasons why I've sort of stuck to aluminium and actual sterling silver at the moment, and the niobium and titanium, because again, they don't react very much, and they kind of retain their look. Yeah, gold filled. It might be a lot better, of course. Again, though, with gold filled, it would be it would be something I would make as a present for Lady Zara, working with gold filled, because again, if I remember rightly, if a finished jewellery piece in the UK exceeds, I think it's 0.5 gram of gold, then it has to be hallmarked. Sterling silver is 7 grams. So, but a bracelet weighs more than 7 grams. And so, I've not worked with gold filled yet, apart from gold filled clasps. And that's the reason I use gold filled clasps on a couple of pieces. Things like the Christmas candy, I think, which is in the shop, has a gold filled clasp. Again, because of that, as you point out there, it's more stable. It doesn't wear off quite as easily. I kind of wish, I don't know if you're the same, but I kind of wish I had a machine that would close these rings for me. I don't actually mind closing them really, but it's not a particularly interesting thing to do on stream. But don't mind opening rings, but closing rings always seem to be somewhat of a more boring activity.
I don't know that.
I know it's a boring activity. You don't need to tell me you don't know. Oh yeah, no. I can actually. Sterling silver has a reputation for being a harder metal. So does titanium, for that matter. I don't have a problem opening them. Closing them is where I find. Well, sterling silver I actually didn't find as bad. I don't know if it's just these particular rings which are soft, although it is a standard sterling silver mix. Titanium sort of is relatively hard to close, but opening them I don't find a problem at all. Maybe that's just me. Or maybe it's just the fact that when I'm opening them I tend to use a ring rather than the pliers. I have, well, having done a couple of sterling silver pieces, stainless steel pieces, I enjoy working with that metal. I guess it just suits the way in which I manipulate the metal more than others. Titanium I kind of find fiddly, I guess is probably the way I describe it. And if anybody's watching doesn't know, sorry Sykes Wolf, you need the permit again. Let me sorry about that. You need to just drop a message if you want to Okay, thank you very much. It's those two. You've got a good eye, spotting that from a screen capture. Ah, yeah. Now that you've highlighted it, I can kind of see it. Thank you very much. That I will take a look after the stream and see if I can sort it out. Because every so often I do this. I stare at it, going, I know it's out of place. Thank you. For those people that are watching that don't know, when Sykes, Wolf and I are talking about titanium, anodized titanium. This is an example of anodized titanium. I describe it as it's a matte colour, but I kind of describe it as sort of a dusty looking colour, or dusky, I guess. It's a very nice sort of looking matte ring. Not exactly dull looking, because that kind of suggests a different sort of thing. It's a relatively sort of nice vibrant colour that you get, but they do tend to be somewhat muted like this, and they are a matte colour. As I say, I tend to describe them as a dusky or a dusty looking colour. They're not actually dusty, there's no dust on them, but it gives that sort of, to me it gives that sort of impression. It sounds like, especially being able to pick out that error, Sykes Wolf, that you've been doing this a long time. I'm going to weave a few now, because otherwise it'll get boring on stream if I just keep closing rings. One thing I haven't got into the habit yet of... that's not right. One thing I haven't yet got into the habit of is working out for which weave it's better to do a clockwise or an anti-clockwise open. I generally do an anti-clockwise open for just about everything, and then that doesn't... is that right? Yeah, it is. And then every time, as you know, certain weaves work better if you open the rings the other way. And I keep forgetting, and every time I do them I keep going, I must remember next time. Come on. Nope. These rings are the wire diameter on these rings is so small that it's really difficult to pick them up with the pliers. And then frustration sets in when I can't actually pick the thing up. Just over a year? Okay. Well, I'm guessing you've done a lot. You seem to have done a lot. That doesn't look right. A lot more than me. I've actually been doing this probably 2.5 years. But as it kind of says below the stream window, I'm a well, I think it describes me as sort of having a small attention span. It's not quite the thing, but I sort of can't keep doing one thing for very long. I have to change and do something different. So whilst I've sort of been doing chainmail probably for about 18 months, 2 years, I've not been doing it continuously over that time. One thing is, I love trying out the new weaves and things, but I have a tendency to really enjoy the weaves which are regular weaves. So I don't like the weaves like the loopy ones or the raggedy ones that have sort of rings hanging off the edges. I tend to like a regular weave like this, or you know. Or the one that you posted, although there are some that, what is it now? There's an infinity. I can't remember, but I do have a habit of from time to time, for example, trolling, going through that site and going, I like that. Do I have any rings that match the AR, and just trying it. And something is wrong there. Something is wrong. And this is where I probably spend a while studying something, going, yeah, something's wrong. I know that's wrong for a start, because I've got 7 through that ring, or 5, so that doesn't want to be there, so we'll get rid of that. Have I gone and picked up the wrong end? Nope. Oh dear. I have made a complete mess of whatever I've just done. I do not know, but I've done a complete mess of it. That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. That's not. That one. Nah. It's got to be that one. Part of this is I'm not fantastically concentrating on what I'm doing because I'm talking at the same time. That was supposed to have gone through there. That was supposed to have gone through there and there, just through one of them, not both of them. Is that what I've made a mess of? Possibly. Can you imagine? This is a simple weave. And I'm making a mess of a simple weave. On stream. Can you imagine doing something like a candy cane? I have completely messed this one up. At this point, yeah, I have completely messed this weave, this particular row up. I must have been really sort of half asleep or something. I don't know quite what I was doing at the... Yeah, let's take it off. Let's not bother trying to work out where it should go. Let's take it off and do it again. So we've got... That's not woven properly. Okay. I know me, what I would end up doing is spending 10 or 15 minutes trying to work out what I've done wrong. instead of just going below that, just take it off, take the whole row out, and start the row again. Trouble is, at this point in time, I've now got to work out where the row actually is that I need to take out. That looks... It's not simple. Yeah, that kind of... I mean, in theory, you know, it's... There's no difference between this and large scale. You know, it's the same pattern, same aspect ratio, just the rings are tiny, but there's something about them being so small that just makes it harder to see what's going on. And I'm looking at this and I've made a real But I do know, like, you know, like looking at that sterling silver one, I could spend an hour looking at it. I did a couple of streams ago when I'd come back to doing this, having not done it for about 2 weeks. I came back to this bracelet, having sort of left it in a state. I spent an hour on the stream looking at it, and I was kind of going, Crafty Sin MD, thank you very much for the follow. That's Sisin MD, I apologise. Thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, that is true. Sykes Wolf. I think, you know, it's certainly, yeah, there's something wrong there. There's a pattern fault there of some kind. I'm just going to back it out. Yeah, I spent an hour at the start of one stream when I first picked this up trying to work it out, and as I say, for some reason I seem to have managed to on that stream, or the stream before, I seem to have managed to drop a whole row in without the additional rings that I would normally add. And the additional rings that you add, for those people that don't normally watch chainmail, are the ones that are the hooks for the next row. And I kind of missed the whole all the hooks for the next row. So I came to look at this, and study it, and I'm going, the hooks are missing. And I'm studying it, I think, but they can't be missing. You know, it's part of the weave that you put these things in. It's not an easy thing to sort of miss, and I still to this day cannot understand how I did it. But I missed out a whole row of these, you know, I call them hooks. As I say, they're the bits that you would then use to hook the next row into. And I still don't understand how I did it, but I spent an hour, and every time I do that I keep going, you know what, next time it's quicker just to say, alright, something's wrong, let's just undo a bit until I get back to somewhere where it looks right, because it's quicker to do that than sometimes than it is to try and puzzle out just where the mistake is. And I know I've got a mistake down here somewhere, so I'm now closer to it, but even as I mentioned earlier in the stream, if I run that through my fingers, there's a bit at this end here which doesn't feel right, and if you look at the rings, they're just, if you can see them in there, just in this corner here, it doesn't sit right. There's actually a ring here that's not sitting right. This one, I think it is, which is just not sitting right. There's something about it. Is probably through, well, it looks like it's going through the right number of rings, but So I'm just gonna. It's not worth me spending ages trying to work it out. It's not obvious to me what it is that's out of place at first glance. If I sat and studied it, I probably would work it out, but so my experience is forget trying to work it out. You know, I know there's a problem. The easiest way to fix the problem is to take the problem away, which is what I've just done there. Now then, given that's right, I should actually be able to build back from there. So if I turn it over, can I work that way? No, because I'm used to working this way. You get used to the rings laying in a particular direction, and so that sometimes when you this is the start of my row working that way. In this particular case, to fix this issue, I've got to start at this end and work backwards. So I'm kind of having to reverse what I normally do and think backwards. I think we'll take it through that one and that one, and then put a ring on. Oh bother! And that's the second issue of working with Micromaille. For those people that weren't in earlier, the outside diameter of these rings is 3.2 millimeters. The wire diameter is 0.6 millimeters, and it's really difficult to get hold of them with the pliers. If you hold it too tight, you squeeze them out, and then they go all over the place. The other thing is, because the wire diameter is so small, when you get hold of them with the pliers, your pliers get in the way, just because what I'm going to do is there's a slight gap between the two ends of that ring, and I've got to get this ring in through that gap, but the amount of wire I've got to hold on to with the pliers is so tiny that usually, and I just slipped off again there, you've got to be really careful that you don't sort of block the hole that you're trying to get the rings into. Right, now that feels back as though it's okay, so I'm going to take a look at it. Certainly for me, the feel of the ribbon in this particular case tells me a lot about whether I've done it right or not. And that is looking right. So let's start and rebuild the rows that I took out. Now when I'm working with these rings, I'll only do this once. I don't rework a ring more than once. Well, not usually anyway. Not on purpose. As you bend these rings, they work harden, so they get, basically that means they get brittle. So you can't continue to keep bending them. So if I take a ring out, I can put it back, but if I have to take it out again, I throw it away, because it's almost it's a lot more likely that it will actually snap, either from me trying to close it or at some point in the future, and I don't want that to happen, so it's a lot better just to discard the ring. In principle, I'm a cheapskate with materials. I don't like throwing materials away, but quality, I throw the rings away for quality purposes, but in theory, I don't want to call anybody, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't find thank you in your contacts.
I'm going to just bear with me a second while I mute that. I shall stop her listening. Yeah, I'm kind of a cheapskate with materials, and I don't like throwing things away. And in theory, I could heat treat these in order to anneal them and remove the work hardening, but it's just not worth the effort. Now that needs opening a little tiny bit more. I hadn't made the gap quite wide enough to go through a ring. There we go, it's going back together nicely. Okay, another one I haven't opened enough. These are the ones that I took off, so I'm rebuilding it, but I hadn't actually opened them enough. Or they've sprung back slightly. Aluminium, I don't know about other metals. I don't find titanium does it very often. But aluminium in particular, almost as it retains a memory of the position it was in. And no, that's not right. That's better. And what happens is once you close a ring, or open a ring for that matter, it has a tendency to just sort of relax back into the position it was in. So some of these rings that I opened were opened enough to get out of the weave, but they've just relaxed back, and now I can't actually get a ring into place. But just a slight manipulation. There we go. That's what I did. I've just realised what the mistake was. I corrected a minute ago. I have a tendency with this, when I put this first ring in, to weave it through two rings on this side here. And I shouldn't. I should only weave it through one of them, and then I add the additional ring. And it's a mistake I keep making. Which, when you think about it, it is a simple pattern to keep repeating, is this, and yet it is so easy just to make mistakes like that, which have kind of got not a lot to do with the ring size. Although, as Sykes Wolf said earlier, you know, the fact that they are tiny rings does make it a little bit harder, or quite a bit harder, to see when you have made a mistake. Just because they are such tiny rings. Okay. So this may be this Micromaille. Whilst I find it quite fun to work with, may not be one that you'll see on the stream very often, if at all, again, just because of the time it takes to do this stuff. No, this one's going to stay flat. 5.5 inches. It's actually too wide for a normal round mail chain, because it's got 7 rings in it. It needed to have 5 for a round mail chain. I have a tendency to do round, well, in the larger sizes when I do round mail, I don't do them as 4-in-1. I do them actually as I actually weave them in the round, which is what I did with this one. I wouldn't do it again in Micromaille. I'd do it as flat mail, flat, and then make it into round mail, as you were mentioning there, because it would be a lot easier than doing it in round mail. But when I do it in the round, but the bigger stuff, the bigger rings, I find easier to do in the round. But that was a round mail done in the round. This one is going to stay flat. I just like the idea of the flat bracelet, because at this size it doesn't look so good. It doesn't necessarily look so good in the bigger size, but in this size, in the Micromaille size, it kind of looks really good, I think, as a band rather than anything else. When we look at the two, I mean, this looks lovely as well. I'm not discounting it, but for a delicate band, I think that sort of looks really nice, and is a completely different look. I'm just trying to think. I've got see if I've got a bigger piece of that. I'm just having a look to see if I've got a... No, I don't. No, I do have a piece of 4-in-1, which is about 4 rings wide in some of that 1/4 inch, which has been done in colour banded. It's on the website as Seashore Ripples, I think. But this one in this type, it looks almost like lace, I think. Yes, I think you're right. It would potentially make a good watch strap. Expensive watch strap, but a good watch strap, just because of the size. I hope to see you again, Sykes Wolf. And thank you for dropping in. I was about to make an assumption there when you said band. That actually could mean a lot of things. What do they perform in the band? If you have time before you're going. The only reason I ask is a different kind of band. I used to play brass instruments, so I used to play a cornet and an E-flat horn, but that was a brass band, as opposed to what is probably known as a band these days, with guitars and things like that. But it's rock music for drummers. Lovely. I envy the rhythm of drummers, how they can do 4 things at once. That absolutely amazes me. 2 hands and feet going at the same time, doing different things. I love playing about drumming, if you like, but I'm not a drummer, and I find them absolutely amazing, the way they can keep, as I say, 4 independent things going at the same time. Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for dropping in, Sykes Wolf, and for the help with the bracelet, and for that weave. Hope I'll see you again. I'm actually going to call it a night. I know most people will call this a bracelet, but I'm going to call it a night. Sorry. Play on words like that amuse me occasionally. How long have I been streaming for? A lot less than I normally would. But I would normally stream for about 2 hours. but it was a bit of a late start tonight, and I do tend to finish somewhere around this sort of between 9 and 10:30 on a night, to give me a chance to do one or two other things before before I have to go to bed, including what I'm currently sort of working on as time allows, is I have a lot of Twitch archive. I've got 3/4 of a terabyte. That's about 700 hours of video to upload to YouTube, which is just all the archive of Twitch. So all the old broadcasts are gradually being uploaded onto YouTube. Each video is about 2 gigabytes in size, so it takes a fair bit of time. So I'm currently doing that after each stream, is uploading 2 or 3 videos as much as I can. So I'm going to carry on with that. But if you do want to see any of the early Twitch broadcasts, where I'm doing at the moment, the stuff that's being uploaded is mainly carving, wood carving. I have a relief carving of a dragon, wingspread dragon. Then feel free to take a look. Once I've finished uploading the series, what I will do is I will create a time lapse, because there's something like about 30 hours to carve a relief dragon, which is a fair length of time. And it's if you have only a vague interest in carving, then that's a bit of a long video to watch. But I will at the end of it upload a time lapse, so you'll be able to sort of see a dragon carved in 20 minutes. But as I work through it, you'll see all the other crafts that I've done on stream as well, whether it be the punch craft, the scraper board, he says I can't remember, but they're all going up in time. I will also point out at the bottom right hand side, there's arrogantart.com, which is my own website. There's a little bit of information. Again, it's one of these things that's in progress. A little bit of information about things like pyrography is there, and some of the pieces, the inspiration behind the pieces, there's information there as well. And the usual social websites, of course, with Facebook and Twitter. I do tweet when I go live and when I can't go live, or there's going to be a delay, so that's probably a better one if you want to come back and watch the stream. To follow me on Twitter, you'll get more information as to more accurate information as to when I'm live or not live, for example. A little bit more than following me here on Twitch, which of course is the button up at the top right there. And I can't, I'm doing jewellery here. It is for sale, or there are examples of this for sale. These aren't yet on the website. Unfortunately, these will be expensive, so if you may not have as much interest, just because the amount of time, as you can see, tonight we've done about an inch and an inch-ish into in an hour, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. See if you can imagine that to do a bracelet takes a heck of a long time, so they're not particularly cheap, aren't they, Micromaille? But something like this will be up, and there's some really nice pieces up there. I think they're really nice. They would do. I made them, so it's kind of obvious I'm going to think they're really nice. But take a look, you might find something there as a good present. It's arrogantart.etsy.com. And there's a final advert before I turn you over to Twitch's own adverts, which always run at the end and I can't do anything about it, is of course the subscribe button at the top. If you'd like to, well, I'd love you to consider subscribing to the channel, because the proceeds of which help towards buy the things that we use on the stream, whether it's Micromaille or whether it's wood for pyrography or scraper board for that, or paint for the airbrushing, or I don't know, maybe a sort of a drill, an engraving bit for the glass work, all that sort of thing. The proceeds of the subscriptions all help towards that. I will be live again tomorrow, hopefully between 7 PM and 8 PM UK time. That tomorrow will be GMT, 1900 hours to 2000 hours GMT, UTC, they're both the same. And that's the same in the UK as it is, I have to say twice now, because our clocks go back this evening. So we will be, in the UK, we'll be on GMT from 1 o'clock-ish, or from the second 1 o'clock this morning. In case you didn't know, your clock, the clocks in England anyway, but when time changes, it always changes at either 1 AM or 2 AM. If it's going back, it goes 1:59, 1 o'clock, and then carries on. If it's going forward, it goes 12:59, 2 o'clock. Just a bit of a weird fact for you. So ours go back this evening. So England, as of tomorrow morning, will be on GMT. So 1900 hours to 2000 hours. I will start somewhere in that particular time. I'll try and start somewhere closer to 1900, but evening meals and things like that sometimes get in the way, and it does move towards there. So if I'm not around at 7, just keep having a check, or watch out for Twitter when the message goes out that I'm live. With that, hope I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. Krista, a very good night to you. And anybody else that's watching, St. Wolf, if you're still here, again, thank you for dropping in. Fantastic to hear from you. Look forward to seeing you on tomorrow night's stream. Bye for now.